Hello everyone, it's so nice to be back, and we are going to continue from where we left off. We're done building the PC, we've installed our operating system on it, we've also started doing Windows Server, and we have installed 2016 Windows Server on a VMware. We did configure it. We also installed on the same server a Microsoft Exchange 2016, which is a mailbox. So pretty much these are the videos we've run through. Today's video we are going to talk about DHCP configuration, and we are going to configure it in the VMware that we created, and we will go ahead and also configure and install Windows deployment services. Then we will finish it with image deployment, from where we are going to deploy Windows 10 operating system. So let's start it now. So we dive into it. We first of all go and then we open our VMware that we created. So we open it up. So our VMware is right here. So we'll go ahead and then we can configure the necessary configurations we want to do, which is DHCP and then Windows deployment services. But first we will have to configure our main network for the whole system. So we will do that first and then we will continue with it. So to configure the network for this system, we will go into Edit and then Virtual Network Editor. We click on it. We know we are using we left our main system's network on, so we will be able to install the Exchange server. Now that we are done, it's going to work when we get off from that network. So it will still, we can still log into it as it should be. So I'll go ahead and configure our network. So I'm going to click on this, and then I need to change the settings. So I'm going to take the NAT configuration and then I will change it. So we know our network we are going to use. So we are not going to use the local server, and then here is going to be 20. That is going to be our network. So this is what we are using as our network. Then we apply. We just click OK. And for our work today too, we will need an additional hard drive. So I'll go ahead and add additional hard drive to it. When we get there, you realize why we need that additional hard drive. So create, and then let's go on. We are creating NVMe So we are going to create. I'll just leave it at 60. It should be fine, and we are not going to use for so many things. Just and then we hit finish. So once this is configured, we should be good, and it's okay. So we can go ahead. We can go ahead and select our network that we created, so we can use our custom network, or we can still be on the NAT network, whichever one we want to be, since we have already configured it. So we will leave it on the NAT network, and we click OK. We are going ahead to power on our machine, so let's turn it on. So when we boot into it, we will go into our network settings and then change or configure back to our static IP address that we had. Yeah, when it's applying the settings, it does take a little bit of time. But we should be fine, so okay, we are now going to log into the system. So we have we log in as administrator. Now that we are fully on our desktop, we will just go straight away, straight into disk management. So we are going to go into disk management, and then we are going to initialize the disk that we added. So we select this and we will leave it at GPT partition. Now that our disk is initialized, we'll go ahead and format it. So we are going to create a new simple volume, and then we click next. We are going to use the whole disk. We will just leave it at E, drive E to be this, and the file format partition is NTFS. You can also come back and then you can give it a label. I'll just do I'll use image I'm just giving it the name image folder. And then finish. So we will leave it this way. We are done with this. We need to configure our network and we need to get a static IP address. So we will go into control panel. So we click the search bar, control panel, and then we go to network. We have to go to change adapter settings, properties, TCP, IP version 4, and then properties. We are going to use static IP address. So use this IP address. We already know our IP address, which is 192.168.20.10. And then our gateway is 192.168.20.2. Our DNS will always point back to our server. So we click OK, then we close. Because we want to make this network our own private network. So we are not in anybody's network now. So everything pretty much from here is going to be done within this network, and we are not going back to change anything because we already done. So we can go ahead and verify that we will be. Can we log into our Exchange server or the mailbox? Can we log into it? So let's go into it. Okay, we have it right here. So this is it. See, we can log into it, and here is it. We can add, so you can do pretty much anything you want to do in it. So here we are. Can go ahead and close it. So without much said and done, we can now go ahead and add those two features. So we are going to add roles and features from the manage. Next. Now we need to restart our machine to get the right IP address. This is not the IP address we want. So I'm going to select the right network. Okay. Now let's verify if we Okay, this is the IP address that we have. All right. Okay, we have this is DHCP enabled. Okay, no, so yes, we are on the right one. DHCP is not enabled. Add rows and features. Let's begin. We need restart, and we are restarting it. The reason being is we did configure the static IP address for installing the Active Directory, but we needed a network, an actual network, where we can be able to we can go and install and configure our Exchange server. So we restart, and then we reset the whole system, and so applying the changes that we have made. Okay, here we are. We are the administrator. Alright, so let's begin. Manage, add rows and features. Okay, this is the server that we needed, so we have the correct IP address on the server. We go ahead and DHCP server, and then Windows deployment services right here. We add, then we just go to next, we click next, next, next. We make sure deployment server and transport server are all checked. Confirmation, so you read over it. These are the two things we are configuring, or we are going to install. So let's install. So while this is installing, I would go ahead and select my Windows ESD. I need the Windows ESD so here's my Windows ISO. Windows 10, so I'm going to select this. For now, I'll just leave it like that. You see, it's ESD. When we get to it, we would need it. We are done, and it's all done here. So we can go ahead and complete the DHCP configuration from here, or we can close it outright and then do it from here. I'll just go ahead and configure it right from here. So the following steps will be performed to complete the configuration of the DHCP server on the target computer. Create the following security groups for delegation of DHCP server administration: DHCP administrators, DHCP users. Authorize DHCP server on target computer if domain joined. So that will be the description, and we are use the following users credentials: username, eyes for beauty, /administrator. Yes, so we go ahead and we commit. See, we are done. So this is the post install configuration wizard, and we are done with the post installation. But are we completely done? No. So for DHCP to effectively work, we will come into tools. We select DHCP. Here we are. You can see the little check mark. So this is our server. So we click on the drop down menu right here to the left, and it gives us IP version 4 and version 6. So we right click on then IP version 4, and then we create what? A new scope. You right click it to give you the window, and then you select new scope. So this is the actual configuration of the DHCP server that we are going to do. What name are we going to give to? We will obviously use the name so I'll just use the name for that, and then description I'll leave it. What is our start IP address and what will be our end IP address? So the start is what? 192.168.20. So we are going to start our IP address from 40. And what is the end? So obviously we are not going to do so many computers that will go to 254, but we are going within the range of this. Of which we will use for the deployment. So we are done with the start and finish IP addresses. We click on next. Do we have any exclusions and delays? We don't have any exclusions. Next, what is the least duration? 8 days. Yeah, we just leave it and we want it there. Yes, I want to configure the options now. So it's asking, or it's basically saying you have to configure the most common DHCP options before clients can use the scope. When clients obtain an IP and address, they are given DHCP options such as the IP addresses of routers, that's default gateways, DNS servers, and WIN settings for that scope. The settings are selected here for this scope and override settings configured in the server options folder for this server. Do you want to configure the DHCP options for this scope now? So you just, it's automatically always yes, so you just leave it at the default unless you have you want to do it later. What is the default gateway? Our default gateway is 192.168.20.2, and then we add next. So what is the parent domain? iceforbeauty.com. And what is the IP address of that? We have 192.168.20.10. So we go to next. We don't have any WIN servers for now, and then we want to activate it like now. Clients can obtain address leases only if a scope is activated. So do you want to activate? So we are going to select now and then finish. Our scope is now configured. So we are done with this, and DHCP should be working fine. The next one is going to be the Windows deployment services. So here we are. We go back into tools and then Windows deployment services. Right here we select it. We need to configure it. So the server is not configured right here. You right click on it, it says configure server, so you configure the server. And these are the conditions that need to be met before Windows deployment services would actually work. So one, the server should be a member of an Active Directory domain services, or itself is like an Active Directory domain controller. Then there should be an active DHCP server on the network, which we have just done, and we have already also installed Active Directory domain services. There should be an active DNS server. We have an active DNS. It's always installed in conjunction or simultaneously with Active Directory domain services. Obviously it gives you that even if you don't install. Then the server has an NTFS file system partition. So we have our NTFS file partition, and for this reason, that is why we made a new we added a new storage so that we can use it as our file location. So when you click on next, it says integrate with Active Directory, or you can use it as a standalone server, but we have an Active Directory on our server, so we are going to integrate with Active Directory. Next. So this is where it's going to the file location or the file path. We want it to be in our C. We want it to be in the E, so I will just change from the C to E. I want it to use the drive E as its location or its path. And the next, all this I already checked. Do not respond to any client. No, we don't want that. We want it to respond to clients so that we can boot and install from. So respond to all clients, known and unknown. We select that, and it's done. So it said it did not respond to the start or control request in a timely fashion, but that is always supposed to happen because you still need to configure. When it's done install, you saw or you see this folders, right, created. We have the install images and then the boot images. These are the two that we will be needing for our imaging today. So we will need our boot image and we will need our install image. And the funny thing is, or for you to be able to use the Pixie boot, you will need a WIM file. You know, your file should be like a .wim, and we will have to get our WIM files. So let's go into, whilst we are here, we can go into our drive. So here is the drive that we added. We go into this PC. We can see in drive D, in the drive D we have ESD ISO. So what we will do is we can just we are not going to install, so we will actually right click and open. Okay, so now that we've opened it, we will go into sources, and then we are going to look for boot.wim file. So we scroll down to the B. So when you come to B, you see background. The next one is boot.wim. We already have a WIM file right here. So what we are going to do is we are going to copy this boot.wim into our image folder, which is the drive E. So I can just lift it from here and drop it in there. So it's right in there. Now we will need the install. So let's go to install and see what we have, if we have the WIM in install. So looking at it, you can tell that we don't have the WIM, but we have install.esd, meaning the file that we use on the regular basis is an ESD file. But for you to be able to use a Pixie boot or boot from a network source, then you need a WIM file. So we are going to extract the WIM file from this. obviously it's going to take a bit of time. It's really going to take a bit of time, so you just have to exercise some patience. And for us to do it, I will copy this into drive C. I am going to copy install.esd into drive C. I wouldn't just make any folder, so let me just copy it in there. Once it's copying, I'll go into my drive that I created. I'm just going to create a new folder and then give it a name. So I can just do just win file. So when it's done copying, we already have our boot.wim, which we can add, but we need the install.wim, so we are going to extract it. Is done copying. We have install.esd. I am not going to bother myself to change the name. We are just going to maintain the name right there, and then we will go ahead and open PowerShell on the server. You can close this. So PowerShell is opened. So first of all, we need to get into C, drive C. So we do cd / and enter. So now that we are in drive C, all we need to do is we have to put in our command. And the command is going to be DISM space / get dash wim info one word space / wim file colon Windows colon so the name of the file is install.esd, and then you just hit enter. So when you are successfully typed in the correct instructions or command, now deployment service or deployment image servicing and management tool opens up, and then it gives you details for image. So from install ESD, so we have the indexes, index 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 indexes, and each index represents a particular of install or install version of Windows 10, either being home, that is Windows 10 home, Windows 10 home N, single language home, Windows 10 education, Windows 10 education N, and then Windows 10 professional, Windows 10 professional N. But we are interested in Windows 10 professional, which index number is 6. So from here, the next command to get the index 6 is the same DISM space export, so / export dash image space / source image file source image file colon install.esd space / source index colon 6 space destination image file, / you need destination image file colon so the path of our file that we are going to export, the destination is E. So we just do E colon / win file, that is the location where we wanted the destination. So win file / so what name are we going to give it? We want win 10 dash pro. Dot win space compress colon max space so yeah, we need space forward slash space forward slash check integrity. So if you if you type it correctly and you are not having any typo error, you just click enter. Okay, so all right, enter, and now you get the exporting of the image into your destination. It will take a little bit of time, so you wait till it's completed. Hello. So we have successfully added our boot image. All we do is we click on the image files. So we right click on this. So this is also completed. Our install images folder is now filled with. We now have our Windows 10 professional image file added successfully to the install images folder. And we have also done the same thing with our boot images. We added it. So it's simply right click in here, add a boot image, and then you follow the clicks and you set it from the location and you are done. Yeah, so we have all added successfully. Now that we've done all this successfully, we can go ahead and close it. Right from the PowerShell, we've done that. So we have successfully extracted our WIM file from an ESD file, and we have been able to add the files into their respective imaging folders. The next thing to do is to go ahead and then deploy the images. So we are going to create a new machine and then we will deploy into that machine. So we go to home, create as usual, new. We are going to install it later. So Windows 10, can do Windows 10 or later. Let's say Windows 10 next. Windows 10. Image. Windows 10 imaging. We increase our memory and then it's finished. Okay, we have it here. Everything is done. That means we can go ahead and let me see, I'm going to refresh the DHCP server. So I've refreshed it. Let's go ahead and deploy. So everything looks good. Power on this virtual machine and then let's see. Okay, it needs to do a pixie boot. So let's see. So start Pixie boot over IP version 4. Okay, it's not going to work. So now one thing about this is, because we are going to deploy, we need to also go into our server and verify if our network discovery and the network services are working. And when I'm talking about network services, I'm talking about SSDP services, if it's enabled, or UPnP is also host is also enabled or disabled. So we need to check if these two services are enabled or disabled, and then we will also make network discovery. We turn on network discovery so that it can communicate with the newly created machine, which is asking to provide with the OS. So let's go into it. When we are done with it, we will come back and then restart the machine. So control panel, let's go into control panel. In control panel, we go to system and security. We select administrative tools. Let's go to services. So services, let's double click to open services. They are in alphabetical order, so we are going to look for SSDP. So we go all the way to S. So SSDP discovery. By default, Windows always disabled it, so it doesn't communicate with nearby systems, so somebody can automatically get access into your files, into your system. So Windows automatically disabled it, or by default it's always disabled. So always remember to turn it on. That is why our network is a private network to us. So we are going to turn it on. We double click and then we bring the drop down menu, we put it at automatic, apply. Now it gives us the option to start. So we started ourselves. And okay, UPnP hosts. So let's go and see. Yes, UPnP device host. Allow UPnP devices to is also disabled. Same reason. By default is disabled. So we need to turn these two services on. Here we are. Apply and then start. Okay. Now we close this. Let's try to restart this guest. Okay, so now it's confirmed that we need to turn on network discovery. Now let's turn on network discovery. So same in system and security. So network and internet, you can just click on that. Network sharing, change advanced sharing settings. So here we come. This is our domain, this is the current one. So you can see the network discovery is turned off. Let's turn it back on. And then let's save the changes. Now we can close, and then let's restart our guest. So we need to let's get into the boot option. Let's see. Let's go into boot, change boot order. So we are going to put network first. All right, and then so let's commit the changes and exit. Okay, so attempting to boot. Here we going. Okay. let's restart. Okay, let's go to Server Manager and let's try to Alright. So we need to get this thing working. Let's connect it to the NAT network and then let's restart it. Let me go back and refresh. DHCP server to see. Okay, I created Windows 10 and then I'm going to try that with it to see. Supposed to be, I will leave the network the same way as it is, and let's try to power it to see if it's also going to detect it. Oh, okay, so it was using the other one. Yeah, now I now see it. So it was supposed to be no. Okay, so we can go ahead and try with this. Restart, and then it's going to tell us we don't want to connect it, but it's giving us the client MAC address, the partition. So because this was the second one, it's assigned the IP address. So we know our DHCP is working correctly on here, but it's asking about port 4011, that there's no request on that. We are going to double check this one, and then we are going to select the right network from here, custom, and then let's go to VMnet. Okay, let's double check our network over here to see which network we are on. We are on the NAT network. Let's switch to network on this. So since we have configured everything correctly, then we should be able to get the right networks. Okay, it's connected. Let me see which network we are on. Okay, this one is on custom. So let's restart, and it should work for us this time. Like we said, we've been able to turn on the network services. All right, we will do with this. Let's restart, and this should obviously work for us. or we can still go back into control panel and we'll check our services again, but obviously they are all turned on now, so we shouldn't be having problems. Okay. Let me see. Let me turn on guest, but I'm going to turn off Okay, so this one is what we chose. Let's see. I'm going to restart the whole machine to see what exactly is the problem, because this is supposed not to be doing that. we needed to connect successfully. Because I know I've turned on SSDP discovery, I've turned on UPnP device hosts. Yeah, sometimes it does happen. So I've connected the right network from the configuration or editor. So let's see if that is going to work now. Oh yeah, so yep, let's go back again. You remember, so it says what? We needed to press F12 and we were not fast enough, so yeah, we needed to restart it. Everything has been reset. We selected the right network and now we are good to go. Let's boot into it once again. Now restart. So what I did is, if you just press F12, it's going to, it wouldn't boot, but you need to press F12 simultaneously with your left mouse. So okay, enter, and then here we go. We have our image deploying. Onto Windows 10. Now we are going to Windows 10 imaging, and then we will go and do that too. You remember we created, so this needs an active member on the domain. So it could be anybody, not just the administrator. Obviously you need a valid user, and you remember we set a backup administrator, we are going to use that to image this. So we have as for beauty / Latanya backup so you as it is, as the login is, so Latanya backup, and then the password. There you go. We only have one image that we are going to install, so it's Windows 10 Professional. So we continue with as we would do with any OS installation, the same way. I'll always want to create a system reserved partition. So I'll go to drive options, which is advanced, and then create new, and then I apply. Okay, see, so we have system reserved partition, which is mainly for the system files. So let's click on and go. Once it's doing its thing, we will try with this one again. Do you want to? No. So let's boot from the network. Okay, so that is another way of booting too. We boot this one too. So this is also working for us. Still copying. As for beauty / and then we follow the command prompt. New, apply. Okay, so we have system partition and we have MSR reserved. So this is of a bigger partition, so it's obviously creating match, and then we go. Okay, this is restarting, or you can just restart it yourself by clicking restart now. Obviously we have done all the troubleshooting to get this thing up and running, you know. So yes, when you are doing and you are getting into troubles, you need to try all, and then sometimes it just need, because you configure the whole thing, you need a restart of the whole machine. So you restart it for every changes you've made to take effect. That was obviously what was pulling us behind, but we got it fixed. And we should be proud of ourselves. That is how we do troubleshooting. You try all alternative means before you get to the most crucial part, because you can't just go and start installing. No, you need to troubleshoot first before. And then if you get to the point that it's no more, then you you refer it to the next person. So when it's done, we will check our IP addresses if it is actually assigning IP addresses. So we now go ahead and choose our region. So we're selecting US as our region next, and then we just yes. Okay, so the keyboard, we select US, which is already here selected. Yes, we are going to skip. Yeah, don't mind my air condition. Obviously my workstation is right underneath it, so it's always going to disturb us. Whilst this is still setting up on the network, let's double check on this. Okay, it's still also on it. Okay, we can select our region, which is the US, United States. Our keyboard layout is US keyboard layout. We don't want a second keyboard, so we skip. And then also working on the network. So the licensing, we accept the licensing agreement. Now, how do we want to set it up? Is it for an organization? Is it for personal use? I can go straight ahead and set into organization. So it's for an organization, right? Or is it for personal use? We can just go ahead and select it. So we will just go for personal use, and then later we will join it to the domain. You know, because if we are doing organization, then it means there will be more of administrative apps and control. So we can set it up just for personal use for now, and then join it to the domain. we are going to use an offline account. So we are not going to sign in, so we just go ahead and use limited experience. So who is going to use is Eyes for Beauty. It will be better to create a password, but since we are doing this, we are not going to create any password, and because we are still going to provision, and it's not going to be so we want a quick setup, so we just move ahead, so we can just set the whole thing up. And obviously it's better to leave this thing on, especially in the work environment. So you want to make sure, or especially in the work environment, you want it to get location-based experiences, or you can turn everything off. So I go ahead and I will turn them off, especially advertising ID. Now tailored experiences, so many people are going to be using this computer, so everybody will have their own tailored experiences, and it's not for just an individual. And then so I turn them off. We don't want any customized experience, so we are going to skip this. We don't want any Cortana, and not now. Maybe some other day we will talk to Cortana. Same way here. It's searching for screen resolution, display, driver. So finally it's all done. With boot to the desktop. It's showing me we have internet here. This is going to be fun, but we are going to wait. This one is also set up very nicely. Okay, custom V8. Let's see what the IP address is going to be. This is fun. So we have our configurations all set correctly. Everything here is displaying correctly and we are good to go. See, we have our network, everything. Primary DNS is supposed to be Eyes for Beauty. So we are going to join it to the domain, and then but we have our DHCP service that we configured. We have it working correctly. So you could see the list obtained today, and it's what, 8 days. So it expires next Sunday. That is the date. So we need to change the time and everything. I would want to go ahead and change the time and everything, then we join it to the domain. Okay, we get the correct time. So it's going to be fun and interesting. So we have everything set it up here now. So we just do desktop, desktop 1. We are going to restart later. So desktop 1, and then we come here, yes sir. Let's go ahead and install VM tools. Changing the date and the time. So So desktop 2, and we are going to join this to a domain. So administrator, we'll go ahead and install VM tools. And then we go ahead and restart the whole thing for all changes to be effected. To finish and restart. Alright, so we log back into it. Okay, and so here we are. So command prompt. So the primary DNS is eyesforbeauty.com. IP routing enabled, no. Search list is this. We have our IP address to be 192.168.20.41. So that is the IP address that we have for this computer, and it was leased today, Saturday, July 30th, 2022 at 5:04 p.m. and it expires Sunday, August 7th, 2022. The DNS server is 192.168.20.10, and here we are. Everything works perfectly. We are on the network, so we should be good, and we are all good. So that comes to the end of our long journey for the day. I do hope you find this helpful and useful. Thanks so much. Till I see you again. Bye-bye.